Hi, boys and girls. My name is Megan Cooper. I'm a third grade teacher at South Knoxville Elementary School. This is going to be a science lesson for third grade students. However, there are many ages can play this game and participate in this inquiry activity. You're going to need participants for the activity, so anybody that is in your family, any siblings, older or younger, or parents, grandparents, whoever you have access to participate in this activity would be able to play. Also, I want to take this time to just hope that everybody is staying well during this time and also continuing their learning. This is supposed to be a fun science activity that you guys can participate in, and I hope that you find these activities that we're providing for your families enjoyable during this time. And I know this is an uncertain time, and I miss my students and I miss my classroom just as much as you guys miss your teachers. I hope that this will give you a sense of learning and it will be enjoyable for you. This is going to be a third grade science activity that's going to be for week 2. You can find all the activities on the KCS website if you look under the student resource tab, and it's going to be found inside the science packet for week 2. You can also find printed copies for this activity given out at meal distribution sites each week between 10 a.m. and 12 noon. What are we going to learn today? We're going to be answering 2 questions. The first question is, how can animals use adaptations to help them survive? And the second question is, what happens when an animal is the same color as its environment? In order for us to answer those 2 questions, we're going to have to go back through some information that will help you in better understanding the topic that we are talking about. So let's review. What are adaptations? Adaptations are a structure or behavior that helps an organism survive in its environment. Many animals and plants have adaptations that they use for survival in their environment. Animals and plants use a structure or behavior that will help them to survive in a specific habitat. For example, bees live in groups or colonies in order to survive. Another example is that butterflies can mimic other butterflies in order to be able to survive. There are many different types of adaptations, but remember, an adaptation is a structure or behavior that helps an animal or organism to survive in its environment. So now that we've talked about what adaptations are, let's review some different types of adaptations that you may have learned or that you may know about. Let's take a second, and what do you notice about the snake? Take a second and look at this picture. What do you notice about the snake? How can you tell that it's using an adaptation? That's right. Snakes use camouflage to blend in with their environment, to hide from other predators, which they are predators and they hunt other animals, but sometimes there's larger predators that will hunt them. So they do use camouflage to blend in with their environment to hunt prey and to keep themselves hidden from predators. Let's take another look at a different animal. Here is a polar bear, for example. What do you notice about the polar bear? That's right. Polar bears live in the Arctic and they have thick fur that helps them in order to stay warm while living in the Arctic. So this is an adaptation that has taken place over time. Yes, most bears do have thick fur, but a polar bear has especially thick fur to be able to survive in the Arctic. Let's take a look at this animal. What do you notice about the giraffe? What kind of adaptations do you think the giraffe may have in order to survive in its environment? That's right. The giraffe has a long neck and a long tongue. And a long time ago, giraffes weren't as tall or didn't have as long necks and as long tongues, but over time they have developed longer necks and longer tongues to be able to reach the food and survive in their environment. Now, those are a couple quick adaptations. That's more of the structure of the organism. Let's talk about some behaviors or different types of adaptations that animals can have in order to survive in their environment. Here's another type of adaptation. It is called mimicry. Mimicry is when one living thing looks like another in order to be able to survive. For example, if you think of a stick bug looks like a stick in order to keep itself hidden from predators and to keep itself safe in its environment. Also, if you take a look at the picture that's provided, you have a monarch butterfly and a viceroy butterfly. A viceroy butterfly mimics itself to look like a monarch butterfly. Monarch butterflies are in fact poisonous, so the viceroy butterfly makes itself look like the monarch butterfly to seem as if it's poisonous to other predators and other animals around. Another type of adaptation or behavior that animals can have is called competition. Competition is the struggle among organisms for water, food, and other needs. So if you take a second and look at this picture, what are some things that you notice? I know, I see the lion and the hyena and the birds, and they're all competing over the food that is provided in their environment. So they're going to have to compete to see who gets to actually eat that food. So competition is another adaptation that animals have to deal with during their lives in order to survive in their environment. And that kind of is the good background information. So we've done lots of learning today about what adaptations are, how adaptations can help animals to survive in their environment. So now we're going to move into our inquiry activity. Our inquiry activity today is called camouflage and survival. And remember, the first question that we're looking to answer is, how can animals use adaptations to help them survive? So thinking back, if you take a second, there's some pictures to review. Thinking back to those things, we're going to be implementing an inquiry activity to help us to answer that question. How can animals use adaptations to help them to survive? So here is your activity page that you can find on the KCS website under the resource tab, and it will be 3rd grade science week 2, or you can find the packet at your meal distribution sites on Mondays from 10 to 12. And you will need this, and then we will also get our materials set up so that we can perform our inquiry activity. Now, here's the list of materials that you can use. When we go to the next slide, we're going to learn about specifically what those materials look like. Now, in the material suggestion, it suggests using M&Ms and Skittles. I did not have access to M&Ms and Skittles, and I want you guys to know that you can use whatever you can find at your house. Remember, you're using materials you have at home. Don't worry about what you use. Just make sure that you have access to different colors of materials. It can be anything that has colors. So, for example, some different objects that you may use might be Legos. You might even use some different colored pipe cleaners. You may even use some different colored beads. You could even use some different colored pom-poms that you might have access to. If you have marbles, if you have crayons, if you have anything construction paper. And construction paper is the object that I ended up using for this activity because that's all I had access to at the time. So remember, you're using whatever materials you have access to at your home. So if you can go ahead and gather some of these materials up, we're going to then look at how we need to set these things up. So here is the materials that we're going to need. Remember, this activity can be done with anything you have at home that has multiple different colors. For example, it can consist of different colors of construction paper. It can consist of different colors Legos, pipe cleaners, beads, marbles, pom-poms, anything you have that has multiple different colors. So the first thing that we're going to need is to collect M&Ms, or in my case, construction paper. And I had to do, remember, if you think of M&Ms, they have 6 colors, the plain M&Ms do. So I had to get 6 different colors of construction paper, and I needed 10 of each color. So I got 10 green, 10 orange, 10 red, 10 blue, 10 black, and 10 purple. So I got those different colors of construction paper, and I cut them up into pieces so that I could have 10 of each color. And then I put those into a coffee filter. I didn't have Ziploc bags, so I put them in coffee filters. You could just lay them on a flat surface. It doesn't have to go in a little baggie. Okay, so that's the first step of organizing our materials. The next step is to get Skittles or whatever you have access to at your house. Now, Skittles, remember, have 5 different colors. So when I started thinking about this, I needed 5 different colors of construction paper. So with mine, what I did is I cut up, and you're going to need 60 pieces of that. So I cut 60 pieces of red construction paper and put it into a coffee filter, 60 pieces of orange construction paper and put it into a coffee filter, 60 pieces of blue construction paper, purple, and pink. Okay, so those are the first 2 steps in collecting your materials. So I have my M&Ms, or my construction paper, and then I have my other pieces, or my Skittles, and my other sets of construction paper. The next thing that you're going to need is any type of plate. So I didn't have the best paper plate. So I just turned it inside out so it was white instead of blue, so I didn't get confused in the colors in a little bit. You could also pull out a plate that you have in your cabinet, or if you have a paper plate access, or paper towel, or a flat surface, just whatever you have available at your house. Also, you're going to need a timer. Now, you can use a timer that's on your phone. You can use a timer that is on your watch. You could use a timer that's on your microwave. You could use the timer on the stove, whatever you have a timer access to. And you're also going to need another person to play this game with you. Now, when I show you how to play this, I'm only going to show you me, but you're going to need at least one other person to play this game with you. So there needs to be either 2, 3, or 4 people to participate in this game. Okay, so after you've kind of gathered some of your materials, then we're going to talk about what our hypothesis is and how we can write our hypothesis. Now, the question for your hypothesis is this: if an animal is the same color as its environment, then, so you need to answer that question. I need to think. If an animal is going to be the same color as its environment, then, thinking back to some things we learned about adaptations and how different animals use structures or behaviors to help them to survive in their environment. I'm going to give you an example of what my hypothesis looks like. Here is mine. If an animal is the same color as its environment, then the animal will be able to blend in or camouflage. There's that word, camouflage, itself. The animal can use this as protection from other animals. So that would be an example of what my hypothesis will be. We'll come back to our hypothesis at the end when we do our reflection after we complete the inquiry activity. Okay, so we're going to go through the steps of setting up our materials so that everybody makes sure they have all of their things organized and that they're ready to go for doing our inquiry activity. So your first step is to get out a bag for the M&Ms or objects that you choose that have different colors. For example, you need 10 yellow, 10 orange, 10 green, 10 blue, 10 red, 10 brown if you're using M&Ms. Now, if you look at the picture here, I use construction paper. I cut up 10 purple, 10 black, 10 blue, 10 green, 10 orange, and 10 red. And I also wrote the letter M on my pieces of construction paper because these are going to be your prey. Now, since they're pretending to be my M&Ms, I wanted to write the letter M on them to make sure that I would be able to know that these are the ones I'll need to separate back out when we go to our inquiry activity. So that's the first step that you're going to do. Cut your construction paper or get your other objects set up. Get 10 pieces of each color. And then the second step is to get out Skittles or other objects that you have at home. So I didn't have Skittles, so I cut up 10 more construction paper. You're going to need 60 pieces of these. Now, if you didn't have access to all of these colors, that's okay. You could have just done 2 or 3, whatever you have available at your house. So I cut up 60 pieces of red, 60 pieces of pink, orange, purple, and blue construction paper. And I put them in my coffee filters. Now, these are going to be my habitats, and we'll talk about those a little bit more in a minute. So I cut them up and I put them into my coffee filters. I could have put them on a paper plate or paper towel or whatever I had at home. Now we're going to talk about the rules for the game and activity. So you're going to explain the rules to whoever is participating. They're going to be birds that like to eat M&Ms. Remember, our multiple colors. So they're going to be birds that like to eat those. They're going to need to make a beak using their pointer finger and their thumb. So I can only use these two fingers. I'm pretending to be a bird that likes to eat my M&Ms, and I'm going to have to collect these objects. I'm going to have 20 seconds to use my beak to pick up objects and put them in my other hand. So I'm going to pick it up and put it in my other hand, but I can only use my two fingers. So you're going to encourage them to be fast, but you're also going to encourage them that they have to avoid picking up the Skittles. So I'm avoiding trying to pick up those objects from my habitat because they're going to make me sick. So remember, my M&Ms are my prey, and these are my Skittles are my habitat. Or my construction paper with the M is my prey, and the construction paper without the M is my habitat. So now the final step is for me to pour a bag of Skittles or my construction paper. So I'm going to choose my red one first. So I'm going to start with my red habitat. I'm going to pour this onto my plate. So I'm going to take it and pour it out. So I've got that, and I've got it kind of mixed up. Now I'm going to take my other multicolored construction paper that has the M on it, and I'm going to pour it into this habitat. I'm going to kind of mix it up. And now I'm going to set my timer on my phone for 20 seconds, okay? So now I'm going to show you what this is going to look like so that you understand exactly what it needs to look like for the 20 seconds. So remember, I've got my pointer finger and my thumb. I've got my timer set for 20 seconds, and I'm going to start picking up. Now remember, the red construction paper was my habitat, and the multicolored ones was my prey. I'm trying to pick up the ones that have the M's on them. All right, I'm going to start my timer. Here we go. I'm going to put them in my other hand. Remember, just the two fingers. And I'm trying to go as fast as I can. So my timer went off, so I'm going to stop my timer. Now I'm going to have to count these pieces and determine how many I have. So that's part of the next step, which is our data collection. When the timer goes off, have everyone stop picking up the candy, have everyone count the number of M&Ms or objects in each color they counted. Count any other objects that were picked up. So I'm going to count these. Don't worry about the questions yet. We're going to come back to those in a minute. So here is my table that I'm going to have to put my information in. So I used the red habitat first, and now I have to count each one, and I'm going to count them, and then I'm going to have to put them in here. And remember, I'm looking for the ones that have the M on them. Okay, so here's a red one. It doesn't have an M on it, so we'll talk about that in a minute. This one's blue. It has an M on it, so I have one blue. I have three blues. I have two purples. I have 1, 2, 3 orange. I have 1, 2, 3 green. I have a red that has an M on it, so I know that that's a M&M, so it's a prey, and I have 1 black. Okay, so now I'm going to take that and I'm going to record it into my table here. So I have 2 purple, so I'm going to put that right there. So I would write the number 2. Now I'm going to look at how many blue I have. I had 3 blue, so I'm going to put my 3 blue in my table. Now I had 3 green, and so I'm going to put write the number 3 there. I had 1 black, so I'm going to put the number 1 there. I had 1 red M, so I'll put it there. And then I had 3 orange, so I'll put that there. And then I had 1 red Skittle or other piece of construction paper that didn't have an M on it. So I would write that number there. So from right now, I only picked up 1 red Skittle. So now we're going to try it again with a different habitat. This time we would try it with the orange habitat. So I would have to go back through and reset up my materials. So I would have to sort them back out, get all of my reds back out that don't have the M's on them, and I would have to put the rest of my materials back into my coffee filter. So I would sort it all back out, and then the next step would be to get my orange habitat and put it on my paper plate and spread it all out. And then I'm going to get all of my multicolored ones back out, and I'm going to put it on my plate and mix them all up again. And then I would set my timer again for 20 seconds, and I would start it, and I would continue to pick them up. Remember, just these two, and it has to go back into this hand. So you're picking up as fast as you can. Until the timer goes off. And then, so now I'm working with my orange habitat again, okay? And I'm just gonna review the steps so that you guys can understand what we're supposed to do. Okay, so we're in our orange habitat. I have 2 purple, so I'm gonna put 2 purple there. The next color is blue. I have 3 blue, so I'm gonna put 3 blue in the next line. I only picked up 1 green this time, so I'll put it there. Then I picked up 2 black, okay, so I would put it there. I picked up 2 red, so I would put those there. And then the orange, I picked up a lot of orange this time, but this time the orange, let's see if I have any that have M's on them. I have 1 that has an M on it, and that's it. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Skittles. So that's where I would write the 7 Skittles. So remember, I had 1 orange that had the M on it, and then I had 7 Skittles. So that's how I would do that. And then we would go back and compare our data and answer those questions of, does the habitat affect how many I pick up? Does it matter? Does it affect those animals? If I'm the bird and I'm eating the M&Ms, and if the habitat is orange and I'm trying to eat the orange M&Ms, is it going to help or hurt? I only had 1 orange M&M, but I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Skittles. And those were going to make me sick. So I wonder if that changes my understanding for this hypothesis. So here's where we would come to our reflection sheet. After you go through each one, you have the purple, the red, and the pink habitat. So I would go through all of those, finish my game with my partner, and then I would go to my reflection sheet. And I would look back at my hypothesis. The first question says this: look back at your hypothesis and your data collection. Would you change would you change anything? If an animal is the same color as the environment, then, so I'm going to look back at my hypothesis, and I've put it there on the screen. The animal will be able to blend in or camouflage itself. The animal can use this as protection for other animals. Thinking back about some of my data collection, I might change my answer. I might not. Then question number 2, did you and your partner pick up more of blank color? Did you or your partner pick up more of blank color in a certain color or habitat? So after you finish each round, talk about that. Think about if you picked up more of one color in a habitat or not when you're done. Then last question, which items were camouflage? How did this help them survive? So think back to those questions that we were trying to answer at the beginning. How does an animal use an adaptation to help it survive? And does that color, if an animal is the same color as its environment, does it help it to survive? So those are our 2 questions, and that's the wrap up of our inquiry activity. And just a reminder, thank you for participating, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it was fun. I hope you learned some more about adaptations and how animals can survive in their environment. And if you would, and you want to take videos or pictures of you participating in this and put it on our Twitter handle at KCS Science for Twitter. And thank you again for participating, and I hope you enjoyed. See you guys later.